people who make these great products. Now, no customer in the right mind is going to come in, rant and scream and yell about a gray screen paint or a gray projection screen failing. They're not going to argue about that at all, period. People who make these products are the ones who are going to come in and ranting and screaming. So that's what you're going to see pretty soon. So I'm going to leave all that there. I got another camera behind me recording chat, so that way we can broadcast that too also. So first things first, my name is Kenneth Berger. Company is Ileg Technology Screens. And I used to make gray paint back in the day under digital and crystal screen paint. That's when we first started off. But seeing the technology through Diamond Screen Innovation, looking at one of their screens we got a chance to check out, which was the Black Diamond 1.4, got a chance to see what true technology looked like. I mean, they had a much darker screen, a bit of better color, better contrast levels, not true black, but still way better than what we had at that time. And it was an amazing form of technology, just seeing how amazing that surface looked. So I knew at that particular time I couldn't keep doing these gray projection screen setups anymore, because again, that technology took myself out of the water. But anyway, this is where we came to the conclusion of developing darker technology. Now, we started engineering black technology about 10 years back, and gray screens just continue to make gray screens. Now, is the gray screen actually worth anything today? Technically not, it is. It's actually really another downgrade, it is. It's a little bit of an upgrade to a white screen, but it's still a downgrade. As I said before, I came out in the era where I was 5 years too late, but I was still in that era to be able to see what the gray screen would do next to a white screen. It does show a little bit of improvement, but with the technology we have today, that little bit of improvement means it seems like absolutely nothing now today. So now with the darker screens, the gunmetal screens, with the black screens such as us, and others, we have another company out there that makes a black screen we tested against, but anyway, that's another story for its own. You can clearly see that the gray screen is now an obsolete product. It's not something you want to run an ultra short throw. They don't work on Pico projectors, which we showed you multiple times on our Pico QME 2 and Magsonic projectors. They don't run. We have right here an Epson Powerlight S6. I've had them outside at 1100 lumens. I've had them outside at 800 lumens, 600 lumens. We have tested them on Christie projectors, Sony projectors, Epson projectors, you name it. We tested on all different types of projectors, and the gray screen doesn't read anymore. It basically a screen that's going to advise you to go in and calibrate. So usually when I see these demonstrations with these gray screens, it's the same thing. Dark environments, high-powered machines using heavy inky contrast levels to fix the poor and failing contrast levels the screens can push. Even when I watched the demonstration with the product under a fellow by name by Crow 1176 made a paint, several paints that were light gray, and these paints had very difficult times picking up contrast levels. Even when the demonstrations with Network Gray 773 in the demonstration, clearly see that the LG logo just didn't pick up on either one, either the Sherwin-Williams, and it didn't pick up on his. So they don't read at all, period. Not if you have a high-end $2,400, $3,700 projector, they don't read. So here with the Epson, we have an Epson projector here. I'll show you my model. So this is my Epson here, right there and there. And my model is a Powerlight S6. This is the same one we use downstairs on our setup. Because, you know, gray screens have this habit of saying, hey, look, we can get the same projector. We do the same thing. No, you do not. With any projector, you don't do the same thing. In one of his demonstrations with his Frankenstein mix, sorry about that, with his Frankenstein mix, which is exactly the same color this screen is too at that particular time before he changed it to dark to try to commit the post office fraud that he tried against my company by changing the paint at the last minute. But it was this color right here. That's what the original color was. And you saw in the demonstration of a painting the screen now when he claims to be an ambient rejection product. It's like a light gray. In that demonstration, you see the screen clearly washed out horribly with window light. It's basic window light. It's not even a lot of window light, but basic window light took the screen out. So as you can see, it doesn't read on the Epson projector, which is the same unit he's using in that demonstration. It can't read it. So what is the gray screen good for? Well, you can't paint in the ceiling. So infinity ceiling applications, visual effect applications, no. Floor projection, absolutely not. Because floor is taking more light than any other projection screen because everything over top is hitting the floor. So that's no. Mind, even your lamps push light up and down. That light in the lamp is actually pushing down at your floor. So your floor is taking a ton of light. Do they work outside? No, they don't work outside. You still got to pick up the contrast level. That's one thing about the gray screen. Gray screens want to skip the contrast. We want to talk about color. We want to talk about white levels, but we want to skip contrast. You have to have contrast in there. Contrast is required. So we can't skip that. And gaming, they're not good for those applications. They're not good for any form of visual effects, special effects, DJ screens that require those black backgrounds and colorful colors to pop up with the music. It's not going to work because you can't read black. It's not going to work at all, period. If you're using it for front, I don't even know how that would even work, to tell you the truth. That just baffles me altogether. I'm not even going to go down that road. That's making my brain like spin in different directions. I don't even know how you would work invisible technology. I don't even know. But anyway, sorry about that. Projector mapping applications. We own projector mapping applications. I tested gray screens. The black levels can't read. The projector is picking up black. So my PC is generating a black level, which you're seeing right there. The projector is feeding the image. The image is taken from the projector. It's being produced out to the screen. Look at the distance we're at, and the gray screen can't read it. So basically, a gray screen is now considered to be an obsolete product. They're budgets. There's no way in the world you should ever pay $1,500 for a gray screen. Especially for the ones we see now that claim to be their ambient light rejection screens, the more high-end ones, the gray versions of them. And they claim, okay, we're ambient light rejection. But in every demonstration, when I watch these demonstrations, they turn out the lights. Lights are on when the projector's off. When the projector's on, lights are off. That's not an ambient light rejection screen. I'm literally going to have a conversation with a couple of these companies about their screen claiming to be ambient light rejection when it's constantly off. Now, why we turn the lights out? Because the colors work better if we're in the dark. Contrast works better if we're in the dark. So that's not an ambient light projection screen. There you go. And a lot of people are sitting around with these gray screens and these high-powered, expensive projectors, and they're not getting jack out of that. You're lucky if you roughly get 50% out of that. Now, are they good for painting over? No, you can't even paint over these things. What's the point of painting over a gray projection screen? A white screen still has more valuable than a gray screen. Why? I would rather paint over a white screen because it's cheaper. I'll spend like $100 for a 100-inch cheap white screen, but if it's gray, it's going to cost me $150 or maybe $160, $170, because gray is considered to be an upgrade in their world. So since it's an upgrade, you're going to pay more for money. So it's not even worth painting over. Let's get a cheap white screen. At least that's a value right there. Now, in the category, do gray screens pick up color? A little bit, but again, they still wash out. Next to we have more superior technology now. When gray screens first came out, their battle was white screens. Battle with white screens and gray screens went back and forth. Gray screen won. But now you got darker technology now. The gray screen's argument near the white screen was we pick up better color and better contrast. How would that work if you're against a screen that's actually black? How would you say you pick up better contrast and color now? You don't. Gray screens realize that because they're darker, they have the ability to pick up better than white screens. So that means any screen darker than a gray screen would have a better vantage point. But gray screens lie, and now they're arguing at the end of the day that, oh no, we pick up contrast, we pick up color. I read the specification sheets. It's a mountain of lies. You're not doing any of that at all. There is no other screen available except for you and a white screen. You could literally have that conversation. You can have it with no problem whatsoever, easily. But because there's other darker technology out there, you can't make that statement. And then for some of the companies who have made statements that putting out false information that darker screens don't read white levels, this can get you in a lot of trouble. This can get you in a very serious lawsuit. So you don't want to go around making those statements either. Unless you 100% can back that up. As you can see, our technology reads an incredible white level, because if it couldn't, you wouldn't see that nice, beautiful, bright city background, along with that 100% contrast at the same time. So the Epson Powerlight S6. I had somebody come and say, well, that's a cheap projector, man. I bet you could do better if it was on the Epson LS800. So you mean you're going to spend $5,000 for a projector, but you still can't read the contrast right in from the door. $5,000 for a projector to try to read a contrast level, well, my customers can do it at $16.25. That doesn't say that me at the end of the day, that's a very advanced screen. Let's go over and let's move from these contrast levels. We're right on top of the screen. We should be able to read something, but we can't. Let me see. And what you guys are used to seeing standalones, right? You turn the lights out, screen's by itself. to fool you, to make you think that you're actually seeing a contrast level, and you're actually not seeing a contrast level. You'll figure it out when you get home, when you turn your lights on in your environment. This is going to be different from the environment that you watched in, and you're going to find it doesn't work. Like I said, perfect example, customer with the soccer display. Now, we've seen the soccer game in his environment, all right? For them, it looks somewhat decent. He goes home, he puts it up on his screen at 200 inches. Mind you, Jamie's screen was at 100 inches. That screen was 200 inches. That's a big screen. It takes in a lot of light. And he opened up 2 windows and the screen, it disappeared. So where is his screen? That doesn't look like he got what he paid for. Let me see. Let's go over to blue screen. Just in case I'm reading it. Blue. Basic blue, right? Now, what they like to do in their demonstrations, they like to spread a lot of colors all over the screen, so you can't make out from left to right. They want to show you solid colors in a comparison. If you saw solid colors in comparison, you would see actually the blue that's faded. Now, when I watched the demonstration for just using him as an example, the high-powered ultra short throw venue projector in that school, where I think it was a school or something there, the color of the water was that color, that light faded color. On the monitor, if you looked at the monitor on the laptop, it was darker on the laptop. Didn't look the same. And then, even though in the video we had to turn out lights that were closer to the screen because the screen was washing out, you should not have to turn any lights out in that environment. Same thing with the church, dark environment, very dark environment. Now, you're talking about calibrating. You heard him say in the video, it'll look better once we calibrate it. That right there tells you right from the door they don't work because they have to be calibrated. I'm pretty sure that projector they had sitting up in that ceiling, which was a massive venue up there, is using over 1.7 billion colors. I guarantee you. Let's go over to, let me see. Let's see. Now, as I said before, for those people that are on your channel, they're ranting, they're copying your videos, and your videos are being reposted. The reason why they're reposting those videos is because it just shows at the bottom, at the title, and sign the contract. So if you're on your channel screaming and yelling, as you will be, about these videos, they're going to dub your videos and repost them as in sign the contract. So don't be caught crying on your channel about these videos. Sign. That's all you got to do is sign. You feel you feel that your product in any way was misled, right? You feel in any way, this is what you do. You go sign a contract. That's all you got to do. Or get a lawyer and take them to court. That's what you're going to do. If you feel that, and I'm giving the statement I'm making right now, all gray screens, don't read contrast. Don't pick up color correctly, because this is why y'all calibrate constantly all the time. You don't operate in fully lit environments. You definitely can't operate in commercial. I don't know where in the world you guys even got that one from. And you don't work outside. So, anybody want to take me to court on that statement? I'll give you to the end of the year to have an attorney. Take me to court that your product did exactly what I just claimed. And if you don't have anything there, then guess what that means at the end of the day? That means it's my turn now to get an attorney and go after you. So, what problem do we have here? Your specification sheets. Within your specification sheets, you're making statements you can't make. Keep in mind, the Frankenstein mix. We even have the specification sheet copied, and the specification sheet is set on his website that he only advises you to use the Frankenstein mix in commercial properties only. Now, it's funny because when we got that container shipped to us, it said it's not ambient light rejection technology. So how would an unambient light rejection technology work in an environment that's far harsher than the average home? The average home is not running what an office will run. It's so bright in an office. And you're talking about commercial property, you're talking about schools, you're talking about hospitals, you're talking about areas that have tons of lighting in there. So how is your paint not ambient light rejection, but yet it is ambient light rejection? At one point, when it's lighter, it's the whole confusing mess with the Frankenstein's a major scam. That right there, when you have people that are flip-flopping, they'll tell you one thing, and then they'll tell you another thing as you're having these conversations with you just to get a dollar out of your pocket. Now, you see how badly those cherries are washed out? Mind you, my projector is sitting right on top of the screen. And it's not reading. This projector can't read off a gray screen. Now, for any other gray screen out there in the market, I'm sit there and say the other day, well, we are different. No, you can't see a contrast level. So you're going to argue with me and say you read black. How's that even possible? What kind of Mickey Mouse magic is that at the end of the day? I would really like to see that. I would give an arm and a leg to see that one. A gray screen that reads 100% contrast? Oh, that would be freaking insane. I got to see this. Who has this? Just like that whole thing with the whole gain range nonsense. A screen that reads 2 gains at the same time? And all I got to do is paint it in a different direction to get the other gain? Oh, I would pay so much money to see this. Ain't going to happen. Doesn't exist. Now, mind you, this paint at one point had a policy on it which was ugly. The return policy on this thing was a nightmare. If you basically, this thing even landed on your property, you had no way to return, equal exchange, nothing. If you opened it, no equal exchange, nothing at all. So you were stuck with it. And the reason why policies are designed that way because they know you're going to figure out their secret. That's why. Trying to make sure you can't bring this thing back. Now, my projector's in eco mode. That means right now we're running at 1800 lumens right up on top of the screen, and we are not reading. Let's see if we can get something else in here. Now, I don't want him to think at the end of the day that, oh, he's just coming toward me. No, not really. It's all gray screens have this issue. So I'm buying some I think it's Vivistorm. Their sample sheets are actually on Amazon. I'm buying them. And I'm going to take my paint, I'm going to paint a nice little square in the middle. I guarantee that any screen that we bring here, we paint a little square in there, I guarantee our stuff only works. Without our technology, your projector can't function. That's one of the advertisements that we're pushing through. Without our technology, your projector doesn't work. And how do you do that? How do you prove that point? We get your sample sheet down and we paint a nice little square and we do this. Which shows that in the day, any gray screen, I got high grade certified gray screens here. They don't read. You don't pick up that color. That's what they advise you to calibrate. Jamie was always telling people calibrate. You got to calibrate. That's why he was pushing it into your head because he knew the screen did not work. And even if you did calibrate it, it still doesn't work. You still can't read it. Majority, most people that buy a projector are not even thinking about calibrating. Like I said, if you were to go out and buy a projector, say you paid $2,400 for it. Like I said, the projector has 1.7 billion colors. And you're reading out the box, wow, 1.7 billion colors. You're blown away by that. You're not going to see all that. That's not going to happen. But you're amazed by the projector can do that. So you get this projector and the calibration is the last thing from your mind right now. It's the last thing. The average consumer is never thinking about calibrating. Now, a person that's been in the field, a professional, they're going to think about calibrating. I'm going to have to calibrate this thing because I know the screen's not going to work right. Like, they know it from the door because they're a professional. But the average consumer is never thinking about calibrating. You don't think about calibrating, you buy an OLED, but you have to calibrate those things. So, with that being said, if the sales guy came to us and said, well, here's the thing, it does 1.7, but you're going to have to calibrate this thing. And like, what the freak is calibration? The last thing you want to do is when you're selling a product is bring in confusion, because confusion can turn a customer off. They'll get frightened by it, and you'll frighten them away. So they're just going to say, hey, it pulls 1.7 billion colors. You're going to get this amazing image, and the contrast is going to be beautiful because it's a 2 million to 1. They're going to sell it for how they're supposed to sell it. Problem is, when you get home and you hit it on a white screen, it's going to be far worse than the gray screen. And you're going to realize that your contrast levels don't read, and your colors are washed out, and you're sitting in these dark environments. If you turn your lights out, the colors improve, which we all been through that before. I've done it myself with an with a BenQ MS 800. I went through that myself, so that's how I know. And now you're upset Because now that 1.7 billion colors ain't there unless you're sitting in the dark. And you don't want to be in the dark, especially if you bought an ultra short throw projector. What was the purpose of ultra short throw projector? Oh, so you can replace and have a TV-like experience without having the projector staying behind you. Want that TV-like feeling, right? But you can't have it because you're in the dark. Because the reality is when you go upstairs in your bedroom, chances are you got a TV up there. That looks like it works like a TV, but the one you got downstairs doesn't. And you spent all that money for it, right? Let's keep going on this. So gray screens, I guarantee, if I take my hand and I dip it in paint and I touch your screen, I bet you it doesn't work anymore. Because your screens don't do as they claim to do. So you're going to say, my projector's not calibrated, by the way. Do I have to calibrate my projector to get your stuff to work? So let me see, rules of your screens. In order to get your product to work, we'll have to calibrate this machine. Oh, wait, we can't even use this at all. It's too cheap of a projector. We can't go. We got to spend more money now. We got to get a high-end 4K in there. We're definitely going to have to spend money for 4K because, your screen don't work correctly. That means I got to calibrate this machine. I spent all this money for it. I got to be stuck in a dark environment with it. That's just jacked up. How dark of an environment? Hey, a cell phone. We can watch your screen with a cell phone. Flashlight. So we know we're going to be in a pretty dark environment at the end of the day. I watched the demonstrations. What else are we going to be going through with this thing? I guess I got to buy something with a really high contrast attached to it because you can't read contrast, period. So that's going to cost me a lot of money. So I'm talking about what? Good $2,400 in the hole? That's what it's going to cost me? So again, how are we saving money by getting the gray screen? Oh, it's $60 for the paint. So $60 for the paint, $2,400 for the projector. No. That ain't saying you're saving anything. Now, my customers at the end of the day, they'll spend, baby, roughly $300-400 for our product. And the projector costs them $16, under 20 bucks. Under $200. I use it in all my demonstrations. So that means my product in their projector would cost less than your whole setup. And they can see 100% contrast. They can go outside with the technology. They never have to calibrate at the end of the day. They can paint it to a ceiling, get an Infinity One ceiling display in their dedicated theater room. They can paint it to the floor if they want. People in the projector mapping industry can use it for projector mapping applications and visual effects. I mean, you can do all this stuff your stuff can't do. So where did I make any money? Oh, I forgot even the bigger one. We can take out $3,000 to $7,000 gunmetal screens. So where in the world would I be saving any money? I can't do anything with your stuff. What do I want to do with this paint? Anyway, I'm in an office right now. What can I do with it? Nothing. That's a lot of color missing off my projector. You know the sad thing about the older projectors at the end of the day, why I like to give them a second chance to display themselves, is because these projectors were displayed on white screens. The white screens are far worse than this. And when these projectors were in their heyday, people who developed these machines didn't realize the true potential of what this projector could do. You know why? Because they had it on a white screen, that's why. Anytime you see a projector demonstration on a white screen, they shortchange that projector big time. $3,000 to 1 contrast. You don't need it on a black screen. $2,000, you don't need it. $2 million, $3 million, $10 million, $20. You don't need it. Screen's black. What the heck would you need contrast for? So what did you pay for? Again, I tell people in the day who contrast lovers, who go to their site, they talk about their high contrast on their JVC projectors. You pay for something you'll never be to use. On a gray screen, you'll never see it. On a white screen, you'll never see it. And on a black screen, well, what's the point of having it? You might just turn it off. So what did you just pay for it? You'll never use it. I told you about when projectors sit, the brighter the projector, the faster screens wash out because they can't handle the light coming from the projector. Remember I brought that in videos? That's why venues don't work on gray screens, because venues produce very, very high lumens at the end of the day. So that extra light that you think that you need at the end of the day that could fix your screen, it's not going to fix your screen. It's going to wash it out even faster. You just added more light to an already stressful situation. I love it when we get people who sell products try to act like customers. Stop doing that. Grow up. Don't do that. Grow up. I mean, come on. Deep down inside, you got to live with yourself at the end of the day. How can you live with yourself knowing you do stuff like that? No customer in their right minds ever want to come in and complain about basically not get a screen that doesn't pull proper color. Like, oh my goodness, I mean, I I can't wait to blow my money on a screen that doesn't work. I just can't wait. I can't wait to be going through some painstaking, calibrated, and dark environments. I can't wait for all that. I can't wait. Nobody's saying that at the end of the day. The only people get upset about this are people who make these products. They're the ones that get upset about it because they know it's the truth. Now, if you feel in any way that the video demonstration I did is completely false, you know what I'm going to say. Sign the contract, see me in court. That's what you got to do. Other than that, you catch you crying and whining on your channel, I'm going to repost your video and put down, sign the contract over the top of your video. Don't cry about it, sign it. Because when you get on your channel and you cry about something, it just shows at the end of the day you can't back it at the end of the day. Now they'll sit there and go, oh, he's I don't cry about anything, people. I back up everything I do. Every time I come on here, I back up everything I say out of my mouth. I don't say unless I can back it up. And I'm the one telling you, let's go to court. Y'all don't tell me, I tell you. So that's a big, big, big difference right there. So again, don't chalk it up as me crying on the channel. Chalk it up as you being a coward, not signing our contract and seeing us in court. Because if I do catch a video of you saying something, then you have no choice. We'll force you into a courtroom. You can cry all you want. You can cry on the plane ticket ride down there. You can cry in the courtroom. You can cry when we get the sentence on you. You can cry all you want. You can cry after you leave. If you leave. As if you leave. As if we don't find something to file criminal charges against you for fraud against my business. If. Because your product doesn't work, man. Now, if you don't do anything criminal, we can literally take you to federal court and get you on consumer fraud. We can get you on that, on fraud. Showing you sold this product knowing you couldn't back it up. We beat you in court showing your product doesn't work, or we beat you in court showing our stuff works. We're going to turn around and flip it on you and say, hey, look, now we're going to challenge your stuff in court. And you're going to go back again. And you got to prove that your stuff works. And if you can't prove it doesn't work, then what's going to happen then? They're going to take you over to federal, and then we're going to basically file a charge. We'll file a complaint against you for basically saying that you sold a whole bunch of product to the consumers, and you can't back it up. Now, you're going to be under a magnifying glass. We're good. That's how badly that stuff reads. We're right on top of the screen. Do I need to be any closer to get it to work? That's pretty bad. So, our slogan's going to be, without our technology, your screen doesn't work. And any company wants to challenge me at the end of the day saying that, hey, we can, oh, please do. I'm looking forward to that. I really am looking forward to that. Just ain't getting people to comment. Oh, period. I'm looking forward to that. What if we turn the lights out? Because we got people like, I get that all the time when we do these videos. When you turn the lights out. When we turn the lights out. I got so many people saying, turn the lights out. That's because you have to be in the dark all day long. It's the only way your stuff works. So you want to turn the lights out? Turn the lights off. You can't turn this on. There you go. You notice that your screen is hot spotting? So that glare around the screen, because your screen's having a problem absorbing light. That's a problem. It can't absorb light. You should be able to do that easily. I get that. I have people scream at me, tell me, it's not fair, man, because you're supposed to have the lights off. Projection units. No. The minute they start developing ambient light projection, AOR technology, that ended right there from the door. Because that's the whole purpose of ambient light projection technology, to give you the ability to be able to operate in a fully lit environment. That's what that's for. So the minute they started advertising that whole screaming, yell nonsense about us happening to be in the dark, because that's a tradition, that went out the window a long time ago. That's to say, y'all so stuck in the Stone Ages. So we know that didn't work at all, period. Oh, my goodness. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it from here. Wait, how much time we got here on this? Let's see. Yeah, that cry for justice at the end of the day by saying, "Oh yeah, we got to be in the dark because movies were meant to be." No, the minute they developed ambient projection, all that went out the window. So in order for you to be to compete with the newest screens that had ambient light projection technology embedded into them, you would now have to make that statement, or nobody would buy from you unless you are ambient light projection. You know, nobody wants to be trapped in the dark all day long. And with that new future technology, there you go. So gray screens, no, they don't work at all. You downgrade your product. You buy a $1,500, $800 gray screen, you have lost so much money, it's not even funny. Your projector won't fix it. Trust in your projector to believe that the whatever contrast levels your projector possesses will fix it, will not fix it. If it did, by now, I would have saw a demonstration of somebody outside showing starfield demonstrations on that thing. I would have saw demonstrations of heavy contrast levels in fully lit environments. If you have to turn up the lights in the environment or to get it to work, you don't have it. Anyone that's an ambient light rejection technology gray screen and you're turning out lights, you're adjusting lights in that, you don't have it. You're supposed to read 100% black. That's what you're supposed to pick up. Not gray, black. So I like doing this demonstration because this is a demonstration that Fernando lied to a bunch of his customers with the Cinemax and claimed that the screen could read 100% black because he had it in a dark environment. Your projector sat much closer than mine. And this projector is nowhere near has the power your projector has. It can't read it. So either you're telling people two things. Either you're going to spend $3,700 or $2,400 to get a projector to get your stuff to work, or at the end of the day that you tricked everybody, put it in a dark environment, made them believe that they were actually picking up a contrast level when technically they weren't. And if that's also the case, how in the world did the woman with the dark makeup pick up dark in your environment? Mind, no contrast. It was a gray screen altogether. But in the demonstration next to the house paint, with the logo pop up, you came up gray. How does that work? Oh, because you were in a darker environment, that's why. The environment you were was much more light. Not a lot of light, but there was light in the environment. There was enough to wash your screen out. So in any way he can operate that screen, has to be in the dark. You've seen all those demonstrations, they all sit in the dark, just like everybody else's. So that just didn't work well, did it? That just didn't go well at all, did it? Just didn't work at all. Let's see what we got here, some colors here. You see that? Let's go back there a minute on that. That's a lot of your picture missing. Where's the rest of the image? Where's the color? Where's the contrast? Oh, now you thought that they said not working. You're talking us. Oh, heck no, our stuff works. I got to be outside. We're doing these demonstrations right now. I got to be outside this evening to do demonstrations outside where your screens can't operate at. So we specialize in this field. We specialize in ambient light rejection technology. I don't know why anybody in the right mind would challenge a company that develops black screens on top of that, because we definitely deal with contrast. And you want to challenge a company that specializes in ambient light rejection technology? Have you lost your marbles at the end of the day? That's a suicide path right there. And I proved I walked through an entire environment with an ultra short therm long-term projector fired up in any environment I chose. Now, I wish we had this technology now. This over here. And we have a ball with that. But I got to do a demonstration on site pretty soon, man. I'm taking a 300 lumen projector from me on site, and I'm going to pull up in every corner of that environment, including that center floor at the same time. Boom, 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 and come back to the center. Look at that. Look at the massive difference. Every time I see it, I keep that on. Oh, I can't stand the rain. It's a lot missing. Now, if you're gaming, if you have a PlayStation 5, I don't care. I don't care what you're running at the end of the day. Atari 2600, whatever. None of that works on gray. None of it works on gray at all, period. So people saying, I got a PlayStation 5. Yeah, it's pointless. Just don't even... Just forget it. Don't even run a RetroPie with that. It can't read black. Gaming requires black. If you're a true gamer, you know that from the door. Gaming applications require black. And there are people saying, well, OLED, yeah, good luck on that. Good luck on getting a burn-in on your screen. You know, once you burn in on the screen, it's going to cost you a lot of money to fix that. Even though if they have a pixel shifting where pixels are being shifted around, you still can suffer from burn-in. The screen's out. I'm in an OLED community. I'm on our forum site, and I hear the complaints that come in about those TVs. That's a very expensive TV. That if your kid comes in and takes a metal spoon to it and cracks that thing, you're in a lot of trouble. If you notice, when you look at the OLED TV setup, them things are up on walls. Why? Because if Junior comes in with a metal spoon and hits your screen is done. That's why they got to put those things up high. Yeah. On top of that, they're expensive. You're not going to get as a matter of fact, I'll put a little challenge out there. Find me for under $500 a 235.1 at 106 inches on an OLED at under $500. I bet you won't find one. Oh, by the way, you got to take it outside too. It has to be weather. Oh man, I was watching a guy who had, I forgot what the TV was called, but anyway, $30,000 for his TV setup outside, an outdoor screen. Let me see where we want to go to next. Let me see. Oh, wait. Got to play with this for a minute. 4K snow screensavers. Where is microphones at? My window, I can't stand the rain. That song's been stuck in my head. 4K snow screensaver cottage. She's not working. I'll have to put her mic back in the resetter. 4K. Oh no, snow. Easy. Yeah, good luck on making claims for stuff that's unwatchable. So that screen's supposed to come up ultra dark, right? So I can't see the screen at all, period. You wouldn't be able to make out any of that. You wouldn't be able to read any color. Nothing would pick up at all, period. So we made those demonstrations. Those demonstrations at the end of the day, lure up. I need it. Trust me. This is too easy. It's 1800 sitting on top of a screen. That's a cakewalk. I do this at 300 outside, which I have done it outside, which I'm going to do it again outside just for fun. As a matter of fact, I have to take this outside to see if the gray screen can read a star field outside at 300 lumens at evening hours. So this will be outside. We already did the demonstration versus our sun technology outside. You know how that one went up. The gray screen didn't read anything at all. So yeah, the gray screen is an obsolete screen. I'm sorry, people. For those people who have this screen at the end of the day, and you really thought at the end of the day that you bought a screen that was going to improve your color levels, you didn't get that at all, period. Your screen is obsolete. See how my menu is the only thing that reads? We can read the white levels, we can read the contrast, all at the same time. You can't pick it up. You won't be able to see it. Let's make this interesting. Let's do because I gotta get out of here. Oh, it's 11 o'clock already? Gee, man, time is flying today like crazy. Like crazy. Dagnammit. I hate this, man. This is going to be in my head all day. I got to bug people with this now. I got to do the dance and bug them. Because this is what usually I'm going to do anyway. I'm going to bug people with it. No, I can't. I got friends of mine at the end of the day that have hilarious sense of humor. I can only be around people with sense of humor. If you ain't got a sense of humor, you ain't in my world at the end of the day. Because, people without sense of humor, boring. Anyway. Whew. We gotta do shorts on these too. Let's go and grab you. Yeah, coming up in gray. $24,000. That's what we're running right now. My ceiling kicks 24,000. We can run it here with no problem. It's easy. I've done demonstrations of screens on that wall, this wall, floor. Yeah, I can run it here easy with 24,000. You can't read at 24,000. Even if I shove my projector right up on top of the screen, that gray screen can't read. So the question I have at the end of the day, you're not picking up your colors, you're not picking up anything. Look at that. Screen's washed out. So it means you don't work in commercial environments. Because I see that a lot on a lot of the specification sheets, that you work in commercial environment. If you can't operate in commercial, you don't operate outside. You know in the world you're putting that thing outside at all, period. Now, if you wait till it gets super dark outside, which you have to do, you still don't read. Because I've done demonstrations on yourself on ultra short throws, gray screens. I've done ultra short throws, long throws outside, and you don't read. How are you going to get the contrast over to read? That's the big problem. Where is the contrast coming from? Just because it's dark outside doesn't mean your contrast is going to read. How are we getting the contrast to work? Simple. It'll work. You're wasting your money. Now, if you have the ability to send it back if you can. If you don't, then you can stay with it or you can paint over it. That's the only choice you have. But you're not reading that contrast level. And if you can't read the contrast level, everything else falls in line with it. Got to be to read that. You have to. If you can't read that, you're in a lot of trouble. Because that means you can't make statements you're reading black. You have to be to pick that up. See how my screen's reading those white little stars that are popping up? So when we test our screens on these black versus black test demonstrations, what I put the link to our giant massive test that we actually challenge other companies to do the exact same testing we're doing, you should literally be to find that test page on any form of screen paint or physical projection screen showing that stuff doesn't match anything else. Because then again, you have to worry about, are you getting what you paid for? Someone is going to be just sending to you an everyday shelf paint. Something you walk past Home Depot every day that you sat there and paid $90 for, $100 for, even worse. So you should be able to pick up that 100% contrast level on your gray screen. What's the excuse why you can't? At the end of the day, you're comparing yourself to be equal to darker screens, gunmetal, and also to black screens. So why aren't you reading that? The whole purpose of when you developed a gray screen versus a white screen, your argument was when you're dealing with white screens were claiming that gray screens were the worst screen you can use at the end of the day because the colors came out dirty, the contrast levels were poor. Just saying that was not a good argument at all, period, trust me. But anyway, it did come up. The fact that your white levels were extremely dirty, now that they can actually prove on that one that you can pick up a really good white level compared to what they're doing. Like we blend into white screens and stuff like that. You would have to do something like that. We pick up a level high to white screen, now it's virtually impossible because again, that's going to drop the minute you go dark. But you don't want to go so dark that you can't see the screen. That's what black on black demonstrations are for. That's what they'll test it for. So when I see a gray screen, my question that pops in my head is, what's the difference between your gray screen paint and something I can go to Home Depot, Benjamin Moore, or Sherwin-Williams and slide off a shelf? What's the difference between the two? That's why you have to have something called gray versus gray. You have to show that there's a massive difference. Now that's stuff that Jamie was doing on his channel where he had like a little bit of difference, a little tiny hiccup. No one's going to see that. No one's going to see that at freaking 12 to 13 feet from a screen. No one's going to see that. You got motion images going, no one's going to pick that up at that far. If he had to be a finger distance from the screen to show you the difference in result, that means that you would literally have to be that close to the screen in order to see the difference. Yeah, that's not going to work at all, period. Apparently, Fernando doesn't know what human nature is all about. He doesn't know anything about human nature. In human nature, if you got two couches, one can be $5,000, one can be $200. But if you can't tell one from the other, guess what people will do? They'll go buy the one for $200 because you really can't tell the difference. Now, if there's a massive difference that you're seeing right here and here, you would definitely go for the $5,000. You got the money, and you spend the $5,000 because you don't look like, oh, no, they're going to be to see this. They're going to tell this is not the couch I saw I was getting at the end of the day. There you go. I don't usually have the name of a couch on the front of it. It's usually underneath of it. So who the freak's gonna lift up a couch and look underneath and go, oh no, you got nobody. That's when they came up with that designer paint with Tommy Hilfiger paint, whatever it was, I think it was. Like, how would you even know it's his paint? Like, how would you know that? That's the biggest gimmick I've ever seen in my entire life. Designer paints that are in like there's no Versace paint. We're just using it as a term. Like if you have Versace paint, how would you know? What's the difference between Versace paint painted on your wall in blue than you get Sherwin-Williams in blue? What do you do? Nail the can, take the label and stick it to your wall and go, yeah, this is all Versace paint. You got the whole. That's stupid. You can't tell the difference between the two. It wouldn't make any sense. You wouldn't even know which one was which. But anyway, getting back to this. So gray screen. Your argument with the white screen, you pull better contrast, which was true, you did. But you don't pull black. You don't do that. So now what is your argument now? Your argument is that you pull 100% black. You don't do that. Because you keep using the word black in your contrast levels. You keep putting that in there. You don't pick that up. And you keep saying you pick up these beautiful, vivid, magical colors, which you don't either. Because in order to do that, you need black to do that. Now you do pick up a white level, that you do. But then to make a statement toward us, which is a word, I don't know about everybody else. I can't vouch for their black screens. I don't know. But I do know for us to make a statement toward us saying that you pick up white levels that make our screens look dark, that's a very dangerous line because we're not going to contact you on that one. I'm not going to reach out to you. I'm going to buy your product, get it down here, do the display, and then I'm going to take it to court and sue you for it. Because you made a statement you can't back up. I'm going to get you on it. Now, if you've seen enough of my demonstrations, you would know not to make that statement. But anyway, no, your stuff is obsolete. Doesn't work in ultra short those, doesn't work in long, doesn't work in pico. It doesn't, grays don't work on nothing. It's an obsolete product. They're called budgets now. And $60, you should not be getting $60 for this product. If you got, the only way you're going to be able to prove that your product's worth more than $60 or $60, you're going to have to do something called gray versus gray. We had to do it with the black technology. It has to be done that way. So that way we can show that our stuff is not going to match anything. So you're going to have to go in and you're going to have to show your product demonstrations versus other gray paints, which none of you have done. Y'all haven't even bought each other's gray paints and done it. Y'all don't do that. We go out and we buy certifies. We go out and we buy y'all paints. We go out and we buy black paint. We buy everybody. Y'all don't do that. You ever notice that? You ever seen anyone doing side-by-side demonstrations against any other gray paints? They don't do it. You ever seen them do only one person did it, and that was Jamie. Jamie actually went out and did it, but he failed, and that's the reason why it has to be done, because he failed. So did you ever see any of them go to eBay and buy any of those paints, goose screen, anyone, and put them against their own products? You don't see them do that, do you? No, you don't do that. And fear is going to match, that's why. So your gray screen you have right now, you probably can go to Home Depot right now and duplicate it. Sherwin-Williams, the Network Gray 773, that at 35, what's called the 35 sample, good gracious, that thing is a freaking nightmare for anybody with gray screen. Yeah, you're going to have to do that. Excuse me, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to. One person gets you in a courtroom, and the first thing they say out of their mouth is, what's the difference between your product and this shelf paint I just purchased at Home Depot? You're in a lot of trouble. You're going to have to prove this. And then they're going to ask questions like, was your product tested before you sold it to the customer? These are questions you don't want to hear in a courtroom. So, say nay to gray. And as for the influencers out there, only way I can say about the influencers, they don't know who I am at the end of the day. I don't blame them at that. I really don't. They're just going by what they're reading, what they know. That's it. That's the best I can say at the end of the day. But if you do know who I am, and you do know we develop a black screen, and you're out there saying that the product that you're reviewing at the end of the day does pull up a contrast level, no, you lied. I don't even know how in the world you can actually make that statement either way. Diamond has a black screen. So if that Black Diamond has a black screen, if Innovation has a black screen, you know darn well you're not pulling up 100% black. Come But also, too, what I find interesting about the black diamond to it in the day, if they made claims that the diamond, the gunmetal technology they had, has black levels, picks up 100% black, or picks up black levels. But now they have an actual physical black screen, so now they know what actual black actually looks like. Then how could they still continue to sell the other products saying they pick up black when technically they don't? It would be that one would pick up black. How do we do that? You got to reach this with more specification sheets on their side. That's interesting. See, that's why I said at the end of the day, you know, you have these certified companies and they go out and they have these screens and they're making these claims, they read black, but then what's going to happen when you actually develop a black screen? I mean, you can't charge less for the black screen, because the black screen is more superior, which I told you today, the black screen is going to be very, very expensive. When they finally get their hands on that technology, it's going to be very, very expensive. Because they can't charge you $7,000. They can charge you $3,000 for a gunmetal screen and then charge you under that for one that's actually reading black. That's going to be way to the roof. You know, a $20,000 screen you're talking about. That's going to make us look extremely good. But we're not worried about that. That's why we have a black version of that technology that reads outside. Because we know they can't go outside with it. All right, with that being said, hope you enjoyed the demonstration. I had fun here, yippee-ki-yay and all that other good stuff. You have gray? Well, it is what it is. You just have it. That's all. I got to get ready to get out of here. I got things to do. Turn off my Epson projector, my $16 machine. This is why my customers can go out and spend money for projectors at under $200, because we do it at the end of the day. And then I throw about spending all this money at the end of the day and getting ripped off and not getting the true colors they desire. Because that's what you should be getting. You should be calibrating. There's no way in the world these machines, as high powered as they are, you should never be calibrating anything. You shouldn't be calibrating, period. You shouldn't calibrate. You shouldn't be calibrating anything. These projectors have amazing colors. Amazing. Yeah, no way in the world. Spending $3,000 for a projector? That's craziness. There's no way in the world you should spend $3,000 for a projector. You shouldn't even spend $1,000. That's too much money to spend. I guarantee you, if all projection screens were black, how many would be paying for contrast right now? None of you would be. So if our technology was a dominant technology right now and still everywhere, that means you don't need a 4K projector. You don't need a 1080p projector. You don't even need HDMI ports if you don't want to. You can run at 600 by 800, 720p. How much do you think you would pay for your projector then? It'd be cheap, wouldn't it? It'd be super cheap. All right, then. There you go. Change is coming. It's coming real fast. All right, with that being said, got to go, and God bless.